So here he is, Chris Duhon. He's a husband. He's a father of 5. He's one of the winningest basketball players to ever play at Duke. He won 3 ACC championships between 2000 and 2004 is when he was at Duke. They won the national championship in 2001. He left as the only ACC player to record, get this, 1,200 points, 800 assists, 475 rebounds, 300 steals, and 125 three-point shots. He ended up going to the NBA, played 9 years, Bulls, Knicks, Magic, and Lakers. Since retiring, he's been an assistant basketball coach in college. He's been a business and financial coach as well. And now he's the new head basketball coach at Gaston Christian School, coming right from practice. We're glad you're here. How you doing?
Doing well. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
All right, maybe we'll do this mic. Let's see.
Yeah, this one looks cooler.
Yeah, there you go. They don't have to hold it.
Feel more professional.
So we'll turn that other one off. We'll stage hands. We're stage hands, Brad. Thanks,
right.
man.
Yeah.
All right. Well, so yeah, guys been hanging out tonight. We did a little trivia, had some Chick-fil-A, and now we're thrilled that you're here. So let's begin though, because I think guys are curious to hear. Wow, Chris Duhon's in the area. He's coaching a local high school team. So how did you end up at Gaston Christian School, and what's the kind of journey been like so far as you prepare for this upcoming season, which is your first?
Yeah. So, I was coaching at Bryant now 2 years ago. My wife's a math professor. She actually went to NC State. No.
We got a wolf pack. We got some wolf. There we go.
She actually went to NC State. My mom's lived in Charlotte since I graduated from college, and we, always wanted to kind of make North Carolina home again. And then she got the opportunity. Now she's a professor at Davidson. So we were just like, all right, we're going all in. We're moving to Charlotte. And then, this opportunity came across. My oldest son, who's here with us today, he's going to be an incoming freshman, and he's like, Dad, I want you to coach me. And I'm like, be careful what you wish for, that type of thing. So that's just kind of how it is. I mean, the dominoes just kind of fell into my lap while things happening, and me having the opportunity to, work with these young men and help prepare them and help them, achieve their goals is, something that I've always been passionate about.
That's awesome. So what is your style of coaching? Or I guess you're maybe still developing a little bit, taking over as head coach.
Yeah. My whole thing is about them coming together as a team. So just trying to make sure that, a lot of the best friendships that I have are former teammates. And, just going through those battles and, going through adversity, the ups and downs, and, the winning and the losing together. But, I feel like, you build that bond, that brotherhood, that, something that will last with these guys forever. So, I'm tough on them. I'm demanding of them. But, at the end of the day, I think it's going to bring them together, and, we'll have an opportunity to be really good.
Very cool. Well, that's exciting. So we'll be keeping an eye out for you guys for sure. And Gabby's on the team, and so he's a part of the Point Church, and so we'll be rooting for him as well. Yeah. And so you mentioned the brotherhood, and of course at Duke that kind of word has taken a whole new meaning and kind of mantra, the brotherhood at Duke. And as a Duke fan, I love it. I love seeing guys coming back to games, and it seems like, so many of you guys are close, and especially guys you played with. And so you mentioned, these high school guys are going to be on a team together, building relationships. As you think about the relationships that you still have from your time playing basketball, what kind of encouragement can you give to us tonight, as maybe we're not in the locker room anymore, right, but we still long for the brotherhood. We long for that in our own lives, and Brad was just talking about life groups and the importance of that. But how does that kind of translate, kind of from your perspective, from a basketball standpoint too?
Yeah, I mean, I think when you bring it into the church, like our brotherhood is something we always talk about, where our kind of mantra was we're playing for something that's bigger than ourselves, right? So to be able to sacrifice, like every year, especially when I was there. Every year, Coach K is bringing in 3, 4, 5 McDonald's All-Americans who were the men on their teams. So now you're bringing them into this environment to where, you have 10 McDonald's All-Americans, but now how can you get us all to put our egos aside and play for something that's bigger than us, which is Duke? I think that translates, kind of the same thing with, your walk with God. We're living for something that's bigger than us,
Amen.
right? But at the same time, you don't want to go on that journey alone. And the more opportunities and the more chances that you can bring along others and help others, because there's going to be tough and trying times. And if you feel like, if you do things alone, then, or you try to fix everything on your own, I think you can never meet up to the expectation from either yourself or from that other person. So the more support that you have, and that's how we feel with the brotherhood, that when anything that goes down or anything is wrong or anything like that, I know I'm a phone call away from 12 guys that are going to be there, the next day. And then that's just something that that you always have. So it just always gives you the confidence to be able to know that whenever I'm struggling, I don't have to go through these battles alone.
It's incredible, and that's the opportunity that we have as men here at the Point to experience that brotherhood amongst ourselves, which is neat. The other aspect of you now being the coach is, and having been a former player, the role of a coach / mentor in life. And so who has that kind of been for you, and even for us tonight as well? How can we embrace that role of being a mentor / coach in life, but then also the need to continue to always have that kind of mentor-coach relationship in our life as well?
Yeah. I was, been very blessed. Obviously, but it's, started in high school. My high school coach was, kind of my father figure. My dad was not a part of my life growing up, but my high school coach basically kind of set the example of, how to, you should carry yourself, how married, kids, things like that. So I had a great example growing up in high school, and obviously going, to college with Coach K, and so I've always kept those relationships because those were the most meaningful for me, especially when I was at that young age trying to figure out who I am. So now going into that role, I'm trying to, copy, what they did and what they presented to me. Obviously, being a father of 5. A lot of these guys, we played on VHS, so they, I don't know if they've seen my highlights or anything like that. So it's, is very, very important, and and also being in a Christian school, that it's very important that they understand that I understand that I am a role model, but they also have someone that they can look up to see that, one, I'm not perfect. I'm not going to get it right all the time. I'll admit my mistakes, and I'm going to learn from them and get better. But also that I've been in their shoes, So I've, been in high school. I've been where I was, a guy that wasn't playing, to a guy that's playing a lot, to a guy that's getting a lot of attention, to a guy that, I've been in all those roles. So I know how to handle it. And then also my experience as a college coach, as a college recruiter. Hey, when these college coaches are telling you this, and this, don't believe it.
That's right. That's right.
Or vice versa, right? So, but I think now, since I've built my, relationship with God, my marriage is God-based first. Like, He's the number one. My relationship with God comes first more than anything else. My wife, kids, coaching, anything else. That's what comes first. And, that's just my plan, and, what I'm going to do as far as being a mentor for them, because that's the most important relationship, right? So them understanding my faith and me walking in faith and leading an example that way, hopefully, they can have someone to follow, and then have someone they feel comfortable asking questions about, right? And like I said, I don't know all the answers, but, together we can figure it out. And, and obviously we have God as our backbone with that. So, just one, my experience of going through what they're going through, and then my passion of just trying to help kids, help them achieve what they need to achieve, help them not make the same mistakes that I made, during the times when I was their age.
The role of the coach, it's so important, and there's a lot of pressure, but you think back at all the coaches that had an impact on you, and for all of us, the different mentors, leaders, coaches in our life that have helped us become who we are. And so now we get to do that for others as well. So you mentioned the importance of God in your life and making him first and that relationship being the most important. I'm curious, what did God use for you to acknowledge the importance of putting him first in your life? And what has that kind of process been like for you? Because I'm sure guys here tonight are kind of wrestling. It's like, I don't know if God's really first in my life. And how did that process kind of work for you?
I mean, it was definitely a process. So, I mean, growing up, my mom, you hear those stories about, kids going to church all the time. I was one of those kids, Bible study on Monday. I was an usher. I was this. I was in the choir and I couldn't sing. But my mom went to church and was involved in the church the whole time. When I was younger, obviously, I had a grasp, but really didn't have a grasp of, how powerful God was. But maintained my faith and everything like that. But then, I think with us and a lot of us, we tend to only go to God when things are bad, right? And then when things are good, we kind of put them on the back burner because things are good. We thank him for it, but then it's, things are going good. I don't have to, really rely on them or things like that until something really, really bad happens. And that was kind of how my relationship was. I, went to Duke, McDonald's All-American, Player of the Year, went to Duke, got drafted, playing, and then like all this. And then, you start getting into these rough patches. And then I think this is when, you guys are talking about the brotherhood that, when I was going through those tough tough times, I was trying to solve it on my own. Right, I was trying to figure it out on my own because that's the manly thing to do, right? Like if something happens, I'm gonna fix it, I'm gonna figure it out, and wasn't really relying on people's help. And then you can, it starts off small, and then the more that it starts to, you just go into the spiral. And it's kind of happened probably towards the middle of my career, and I was kind of figuring it out, and then it'll be. Only thing I was doing was putting a patch on it. Like, air goes out, you put a patch on it, pump it back up. You're able to ride your bike, for another 2 more months and then have to redo it, right? And then, got into coaching. And, when I got into coaching after I retired, I still could play, right? I still, I'm trying to make that transition into being a coach. But then at the same time, I still felt like I was part of the locker room because I'm still playing pickup with them, and I'm still, doing this, and I'm hanging out, and then we're joking, and we're all listening to the same music to where when tough times would come my way, again, I was only trying to figure it out, on my own. And it always goes to, or always happens to where you hit rock bottom to where, we try to start back and start seeking, God because things were going good. And at that time, I lost my faith. I didn't lose my faith, but I lost my real genuine connection, commitment with him. And then it took me getting a DUI, right? Wow. It took me getting a DUI, being in that jail cell with, 30 other people, and just like, hey, like, what are you gonna do now? All right, and after that, it was kind of when it was like, oh, like what am I missing? You start evaluating, and the main thing that you're missing is right there. That's been there the whole time, right? So since then, I have a spiritual coach that I talk with every week.
Oh, that's awesome.
Her and I, we, and every situation may be like, oh, my son didn't take the trash out, and I want to kill him, and and then always her first question is, well, where's God in this? And it's like, yeah, you're right. So it kind of, keeps you in check and keeps reminding you that we don't always have to, God's always there. We shouldn't always have to call him when things are bad. All right, we know that he's there every day. He's our friend. He's the leader of the brotherhood. Right.
Amen.
And he's always there, and we should always be connected with him. And that's something that I'm learning, and I'm continuing to learn. Like, again, I'm not going to always get it right. But, during that time, which was probably about 8 years ago, I've made it a point to, every single day, either doing the devotion or, just talking to him just like we're talking today, right? It's like, I think sometimes in our spiritual walk and path, we think you have to do it a certain way, or talking to God looks a certain way, or you have to pray a certain style. Because, if you hear me pray and my wife pray, we sound completely different. I sound like, my 4-year-old praying, and she sounds like she's been a pastor for, 23 years, right?
Wow.
So, but, God understands both, and then all that matters is if it's genuine and that the message is getting sent and heard. And
the heart behind it.
And the heart behind it, right. So, yeah. Since then, like he's, like I said, every week, just in case things, and the main thing for that was because, again, I didn't want to feel like I was alone, and then just somebody reminded me that you're never alone. God's been there the whole time. He's just been waiting for you to just acknowledge him.
Man, well, thanks for sharing that. And as you, kind of reflect back on, okay, putting Jesus as the priority in your life, what are some things that have changed? Like, how have you seen him work and maybe in your character or in relationships? What's some of maybe the fruit that you've experienced in life?
I think a lot. I think especially, with my marriage, just, being able to communicate with my wife. When I grew up, I was basically a latchkey kid. So at 5 years old, no dad, my mom worked 3 jobs. 5 years old, I would come home from school, let myself in the house by myself, fix a bowl of cereal, sit in front of the TV until mom got home. Start at the age of 5. So
Gosh.
You got to remember during all those times, anything that goes wrong, I had to figure it out by myself because mom's at work. There was nobody else there. So that was something that's very tough to me, to where I, tend to, in times of confrontation or, if there's a disagreement, my defense mechanism is to be quiet and go away, right? Just don't attack the problem head on, to where my wife is the complete opposite. Like, we're going to figure this out, like, right now. But us now being able to communicate, and one, putting God first in our marriage, and two, now that's allowed us to, stop having these big fights and arguments, to where, we talk. That doesn't mean you don't get mad, doesn't mean that every now and then you don't raise your voice. But I think now is that we're both being heard, instead of, in the past it would be she's blah, 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 and I'm not listening to not one word that she's saying, right? And she's waiting for me to say something, and I'm not saying anything at all, right? So, but now we've developed that communication to where, one, she understands how I react. So she's like, hey, I would like to have a conversation. If you're not ready, will you let me know when you're ready so we can have this conversation? And then the way that we speak to each other is in a non-attacking way. It's not you were wrong, or this is what my point. Hey, this is how I was feeling in this moment. I blah, 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 blah. I thought our communication was this and that. So where it lowers the, intensity, to where I'm not in defense mode, right? Because as soon as you start to come at me, I'm like, okay, let me get in defense mode, and now I'm thinking of my comebacks, or what ammunition I have that, if she hurt my feelings, I'm coming back at her, right? So that's how that's changed as well. And then
That's awesome.
Just also with my kids, like I always promised myself that I would be there as a parent, as a father, because I didn't have that. So I'm still learning. I have 5 beautiful kids with 5 different personalities, and each one just kind of like a coach. You got to know how to manage each one. Coaching one I can get hard on, one you got to give a little bit more love, and that type of thing. But God has been preparing me for all those things. And one of my middle son has cerebral palsy, and when he was born, like the doctors basically said he wouldn't be here by this time, and now he's 9 years old, right? So he's been a blessing every day, just to see the improvement that he's making that, the doctors initially said that he wouldn't be able to do. So,
Wow.
I see God's work all the time, and I think, that's kind of, what led me to Gaston Christian, because when I first moved to Charlotte, I don't know if you guys know Ricky that works at the school. He used to work with my mom at another church. So he was like, oh, would Chris be interested in coaching? So I was actually not offered the job, but offered the assistant JV coach 2 years ago.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
And I was like, nah, I'm not doing that, Ricky. I'm not coming to Charlotte to be the assistant coach. I might have considered assistant JV.
Yeah.
It's not going to happen. And then
We're talking about national champion Chris Duhon here. Come on.
That's not going to happen. And then it just so happened, a year later, the head coaching job came about, and God has a plan for us. We just got to get out His way and stop trying to be God and just let Him work, and just understand it's not going to go at the pace, may not go at the pace that we wanted to go, but we have to show that patience and understand that trust and have that faith and belief that He's going to lead us in the right direction when we need to, and He's preparing us to be able to handle it. It's just kind of like, these guys now with this, it's my opinion, NIL deals and things like that, they're getting all this money, but they don't know how to handle it. They don't know everything that comes with it. They don't know about taxes. They don't know about new friends and cousins that are about to come into their lives and stuff like that. Like, and then, they're going to be their spotlight in the media. And then you're talking about now 16, 17-year-old kids that may have not come from money. Now they have all this money, and then we're going to criticize them for the bad mistakes that they're going to make. So, it just it's kind of interesting how all that comes together.
Man, well, no, I appreciate what you said about patience and how many people needed to hear that tonight. I know I did, so thank you for that. Man, we only have a few minutes left. I know many of these guys told their wife, hey, it's only till 7:30. So we'll, for those that can stay, maybe we'll do a little overtime here, but want to be very conscious of time. My wife has to know. I got Duke basketball player. I'm hanging with my boys. We'll be a little late tonight, but if you need to leave, understood for sure. So you mentioned your son with cerebral palsy. How has that changed your life? And just you mentioned you've seen God work through that. Would love to hear kind of more about that and just the experience that you've kind of gone through and grown even just despite having that situation and having a wonderful son that's 9 years old.
Man, I mean, I really do think God talks to me through him a lot. And, he's not verbal. He doesn't eat food through his mouth. He doesn't walk. But he knows what's going on. Like, he understands. Like, he would, if he wants the bottle, he'll push your hand to the bottle and, that type. So he knows what's going on. And it just always seems like, either you're mad or you think you're having a bad day, and then, you go sit down and then you look at him and then he just has this huge smile on his face. And it's kind of like that, everything's okay, right? Like, and it always happens at the right time when you need him. And, it's just humbling. Like, it's just always something to where, you got to put him in the shower, and then, like, he got smart enough to where he knows how to turn the shower off, and you put him in the shower and you go and maybe start trying to cook dinner for everybody else, thinking that he's taking a shower. You come back and the water's been off for the last 10 minutes. So, but it's just, just now you realize that, man, like, he's like super smart, like, because he knows he's intentionally doing it. So he's just a blessing every day, that each milestone that he continues to keep hitting. And it is just a reminder of the perseverance that he has, and that him, continuing that, hey, he's not been able to enjoy a lot of things that we enjoy, but he's like the happiest kid in the world. And it just makes you want to sit back and appreciate what you have, because sometimes we don't appreciate what we have because we're always thinking about we want more or we want this, or we're thinking about what we don't have, and we really don't take the time to really appreciate what we have in front of us now.
It's a tremendous perspective and encouragement for sure. Well, Chris, I know a lot of guys here tonight are Duke fans. Where are the Duke fans at?
I see the
All right,
NC
so we got some Duke
over
fans. So
there.
we got at least.
See a couple light blue shirts.
No, no.
Luckily, I took my Benadryl before I came in here, so I won't break out in the hive. So.
That's right. So we made the Carolina fans sit in the back. But so as you reflect back on your time at Duke, and talking earlier about the impact that coaches have on people, I'm sure Coach K taught you a lot. But what kind of sticks with you to this day, all these years later, that something you learned then that is a part of your life now?
Yeah. I mean, a lot of things. I mean, Coach K was really great, and one of his greatest strengths was developing leaders, making us play together as one, motivation. A lot of people don't know he's not the greatest X and O guy as far as offensively. We had Chris Collins there, so he was kind of
nice.
That was his role. But as far as getting us to buy in to the team aspect, he was really great at that. And one of the things, I don't know if any of you guys read his book or one of his books, but he shared it, and it's the concept of the fist, which is something that I think you could take to everyday life. So his whole concept is that as a team you need to be a fist, right? Because if you go into battle, if you're punching the enemy like this, finger can break off, and you're not going to be able to strike as hard as you can. And each finger represented something to be able to be the closest knit. So, one is of his trust, developing trust with, people. So how do you do that? Well, you tell each other the truth. You look that person in the eye, no matter if it's good or bad, you tell that person the truth every time so that they trust everything that's coming out of your mouth is, may not be something that you want to hear, but it's something that you need to hear. Another one, I'm going kind of out of order, but pride. Having pride in what you do. He always told us, I might have heard it 3,000 times about his mom is like the toughest person ever in Chicago because she, stood off. She had a purse, and a mugger came and tried to take the purse, and she fought the mugger off and was able to keep the purse. And coach is like, why did you just let the purse go? And she's like, no, it's my purse. Like, it's my purse. So she had pride in, hey, this is my purse. So that's the same thing that you got to have, as a team or in your relationship with God. When people come and they're like, hey, let's do this, or, no, this is my relationship with God. Like, you got to have pride and ownership into that, because
Good kind of pride.
The good type of pride, right? Another one was collective responsibility. We win and lose as a team, right? So it's not, Boozer didn't box out, or Chris did this, or Jay Will did that. No, or Jay Will made that three. No, that's our shot. That's our rebound. They scored on us. We scored on them. So collective responsibility was another one. Communication, and we said effective communication, because you can say stuff, but again, it goes back to when I was talking about trust. If it's not, meaningful, then you're just talking just to talk.
Yeah.
And it's not. So if it's something, when I'm consistently communicating, then there's no gray area, right? There's no, well, I thought you said this, or I thought you meant that, or anything. Like, it's very clear of what the message is. So having that effective communication is very huge. And then, I'm forgetting the others. So pride, trust, collective responsibility, communication, and I'm missing one. It'll come to me.
All right, we got 4 out of 5.
We got 4 out of 5.
Sounds pretty good.
Yeah.
So we're losing that pinky there. So
we're
fighting.
missing. So we're fighting.
Man.
Yeah, we're fighting with the pinky up right now. So
well, if it comes to you, that's
it'll come to me.
That's neat. Well, no, that's great.
So we use that concept, and I think it's one of those things that you can put in every aspect in your life. Right, in your marriage, how your relationship with your kids, how you are at work, your relationship with God, the church. So I think that was one of the main things that I use till this day. Even though I forgot the last one right now, I'm going to braid that. Care, there you go. Care, yeah, care. Care is the last one. So
care about one another, and
care about one another, and and it kind of, some of those words kind of, go together, like with care and pride and trust. Like, those 3 things kind of all kind of go together, but it all shows that you're all in and that you're doing something that's bigger than you. It's not all about you.
Well, it worked at Duke, worked while you were there, and now we'll be pulling for Gaston Christian as well. One thing I did want to ask you, and we'll wrap up with this. So when you were on that Duke team, by the time you were junior, senior, you're a captain, you're a leader, and as I think back, Duke players over the years, you in particular, a couple guys, you were really that coach on the floor. You were Coach K's coach on the floor type of role. What was that role like, and how much pressure comes with that? And during that time, did you think, man, I could be a coach one day because I'm in this leadership role now? Did you think down the line at that point?
Oh, at that point, no. I didn't really like coaches at that point.
All right, okay.
No, I mean, it was just a whole progression. So, I mean, I was very fortunate to, play with a guy like Shane Battier, Nate James. They were my seniors when I was a freshman. And, Shane is, if you want to talk about a leader and leadership, you should have a documentary. He's like the perfect one because he, you never seen him with a bad face, good, bad. So if you would walk into the church right now and watch him play, you would know, and there was no score or anything, you would know if he was winning, if he was losing, by how much. He was just always sturdy as a rock. And then he took the chance to develop relationships with everybody and his own personal relationships. So it's kind of like, when you build that brotherhood and things like that, yeah, it's great to do things, as a group and stuff like that. But it's also good to have to, hey, let's go get lunch tomorrow. And then, hey, what are you doing Thursday? To where you're developing that personal relationship to where now I know how, because if I'm coaching, I got to coach you differently as far as motivating or things like I may be able to be hard on you because that's how you get going. You need somebody to get you riled up like, oh, no, you suck. No, I don't suck. All right. Now you're going to run through the wall to where if I do that to you, you might shut down.
Yeah.
So it might have to be more of a, more, you're not soft. We got it. That type of thing.
Right.
So
I need to be coddled.
Yeah, of course. So he was really great at understanding each player. Obviously he was very, very good. So learning from him was really, really beneficial for me. But then what I also learned was I can't try to be him. All right, that's not I have to be authentic because other people will see the fakeness. They will see if you're trying to you're just trying to be like Shane. So during that sophomore, junior year was kind of my understanding of, okay, one, who am I? And I have to lead the way that fits me.
That's good.
So, I'm more of a jokester and that type of stuff. I like to have fun, like guys laughing, I like to crack jokes. So, our locker room was a little less intense just because that's just, but it wasn't silly. It was just kind of, hey, let's lighten up the mood. I know we're number one, but we don't have to act like, we're dying tomorrow or two. Let's enjoy being ranked number one in the country, that type of thing. So that's kind of, the thing that you have to learn, in the leadership role, is that you have to be authentic to who you are. Even though you still want to look and learn from others, and you should do that because there's things that you can pick up. But when you're showing that leadership, it has to be who you are. The words got to come from you and not sound like someone else. It has to sound like you. And during that, that time, our senior year, I figured that out, and because I struggled with it my junior year. My junior year, Jay left, Boozer left, Dunleavy left out the blue. And then we're bringing in 6 freshmen, JJ, Sheldon, So now, we're bringing in 6 freshmen, and I'm asked to help lead them. And I was definitely not prepared for that because then I was trying to be Shane Battier, and I'm not Shane Battier. All right, so that year I struggled because a lot of my focus was trying to be a leader, and I wasn't focusing on other things, basketball-wise to help me get. So I struggled my junior year. I kind of figured it out because I actually ended up getting benched against Carolina at home. And that was kind of when, the switch hit. And I kind of figured out, and I was like, you know what? I mean, I'm already benched. I might as well just be myself. And then it was like, oh, you should have been yourself the whole time, dummy. And it was kind of that, light bulb hit in. So then I started understanding that. Then, with the same thing, again, my defense mechanism when problems come or things like that, I always try to answer them myself. Well, start asking for help. Like there's, whoever done anything great that actually did it by themselves. Right? They've gotten help from someone. So I would have meetings with Wojo. I have meetings with Coach K. Hey, Chris Collins, how would you handle this? And then that's when I started developing those personal relationships. So, hey, JJ, let's go grab breakfast. And, Sheldon, let's do this. And, and while also doing team things as well. But then it would help me, one, understand each player, how they tick and things like that. And then, you develop friendships that last today. I talk to all those guys till this day. I'm actually going to golf with Shane Batty next Sunday. So,
man.
you just develop.
Nah, I suck at golf.
But yeah, so just one seeing, really picking and learning from others, things that you like that come. But at the end of the day, when you start delivering and you are becoming that leader, it has to be you. You have to be your true, authentic self and not try to be a carbon copy of somebody else.
Man, well said. Gosh, so much truth and encouragement tonight, and I hope you guys took some notes. I mean, gosh, I can't wait to listen to this again, and really appreciate your authenticity and genuineness and sharing all that you did tonight.
Yeah, no problem.
This is awesome. Well, man, I could talk to you all night. My Duke giddiness. You start mentioning all those names. I mean, you were there for the best era of Duke basketball.
Yeah.
So it was those 4 years were incredible. To think about all the guys you played with when you were a freshman, and then by the time you were a senior, I mean, that's remarkable. So I guess last thing, how about this one and done? We got to stop the one and done, right? You stayed 4 years. We got to know you. We got to root for you.
Yeah. It's weird because I thought the NIL would help with that, but they let the NIL just become a Wild Wild West type thing, and I think AAU has hurt that as well, just because it's too long. It's all year. So for me, I was able to develop that relationship with my high school coach. And he became a mentor because AAU was only a month or 5 weeks in the summer. So then you were still practicing with your high school team, playing team camps, that type of stuff, So, and then you're able to really learn and be taught the game. Well, if I'm every day, 5 o'clock, I'm practicing with the high school team, and then 6:30, I'm practicing with my AAU team, and then
That's too much.
Yeah, it's too much, and then you're learning. It's different concepts. We guard ball screen this way, but they guard it this way, or they don't guard at all, and it's just too much to where now. And I also think guys are just worried about their individual selves because everyone has a trainer now, and that's more important than actually playing. So the one and done got put into a lot of people's head that is for everybody. And it's not. It's only for a special few. Yeah. And we're dinosaurs now. We laugh about it because in our era, and even though Jay left early, but Jay left after his junior year. I think the only one that left as a freshman before Luwal was Corey Maggette. But Corey Maggette was a lottery pick. These guys are going one and done, and they're not even getting drafted.
They're not in the league. Yeah.
We wouldn't even think about leaving. If you weren't a guaranteed lottery pick, you weren't even thinking about leaving. And because you had something to prove. But, I think with AAU, a lot of these kids are given stuff that they hadn't earned early, and they're not really dealing with adversity because I don't like what you're saying here, well, I'm gonna just go to this AAU team. And then if I don't like what you're saying, then I'm gonna go to this AAU team. And I don't like what you say, I'm gonna go to this high school, and then I'm gonna go to this high school. And then it's no.
And now they can transfer.
Then transfer in college. So they're not able to handle adversity to where, hey, you know what? I may not be better than him right now, but if I work hard enough, then I can catch him, and then catch him. And I think they're missing out on the grind, because when you have to grind for something and then you're able to accomplish it, like, so much more satisfying than really being given it to you. Like, that's why, like, winning a national championship is so special, or any championship. Like, the summers and the fall and the 3-a-days and the 2-a-days and the getting kicked out of practice and then have to come in like 3 a.m. and then losing, and then guys getting hurt, and then having, like, that whole process is something that you remember more than the actual games. But when we won it, and then you finally get a chance to sit back, like, man, like, it's unbelievable, like, what we did and what we had to go through to get to this, and, like, we were able to do it. Like, there are times we felt tired, we felt defeated. Like, Carlos Boozer broke his foot. I'm like, hey, man, there go the national championship. We're done. And then it took Coach K coming in the next day saying, hey, you guys believe in me and do what I tell you to do, we'll win a national championship. And half of us is like, yeah, whatever. Like, did you see Booze just limp out over there? So kicked us out of practice. Come back again the next day. If you listen to me, to do what I tell you, we'll win the national championship. So then it was like 75%. I'm like, kicked us out of practice. So then it finally took, like, our seniors, like, hey, he hadn't been wrong, because they say he hadn't been wrong. Let's buy in. Shane and Nate, they stood up in front. Hey, let's buy in. He hadn't been wrong. Let's just go out, just give it all we have. We got here so far. We'll get it done. And then that started our run to winning the national championship.
Let's go. Let's go.
Let's
it's awesome. 2001. Special time.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, man, let's give it up for Chris.
Thank you.